the video today, we're going to be going over the installation of these 7-inch crystal headlights. These headlamps have an LED bar in the bottom that you can rig to use as your turn signal. On my chrome bumper conversion 1977 MGB, you notice I don't have a turn signal here in the front. It's because I totally intended to do this installation later in the game, and here I am doing it. So let's get started on this. Alright, so the first step on this is to take off this outer ring. The outer ring doesn't have any connectors, and you can see on it, it's just a clip that goes around this little ring inside here. But when you're looking at it after the fact, you can see right down here, there's a little spring. That little spring is what's catching that outer ring. The top of the outer ring catches on these little lips up here, and the bottom catches on that spring. So if you can either push it from the bottom and get it to come off of these top, or pull from the top and get it to spring up off the top, then you'll be able to pull that outer ring off. You do have to kind of be careful not to scratch the paint or anything, but I have a nifty little tool for that. It's a little curved at the end of a screwdriver, and in this case I was able to put it sideways and then turn it. And it was just enough to relieve that spring so that you could pull that thing off. So sometimes looking at it taken apart is helpful, so you can see how it is to take it apart. So these top two catch on the inside of that ring, and the bottom, there's a spring down here that pushes against the outside of that ring to keep it in there. That's how you take that outside ring off. The next thing is the headlamp is connected with these. See, these connectors go into these holes right here with this little bracket. And if you get the right size headlamps, they fit, right? And this is a 7-inch headlamp, and it fits just perfect right on that ring. So that'll be a perfect fit. So you don't have to worry about that. And I was just thinking, wow, that's really convenient that fits, right? But it gets even better than that. The bottoms, this bracket, where the original headlamp connector fits, here's the new wire that goes on here. But it actually, when you're looking at it, it's the same size and the same configuration as the original. So you don't have to worry about doing any wiring. You can just take this little wiring harness that comes with it and just cast that aside. That's not a problem. So you'll be able to just connect that straight into this connector. The part where it gets complicated is with these LED wires, and we need to wire these so they match up with our wiring for the MGB. Normally you'd see black is ground, and red is hot, and white is neutral. That's kind of a normal convention. But in this case, the white is the ground, and the red is the high, and the black is the low. But we're not going to be using the low because we're not going to use it for a running light. We're just going to have a turn signal. So we'll be taking this black wire and just kind of terminating it, and we'll be using these two wires here. White going to ground, and red will connect to our green and white on the right side, and the wiring harness is a green and green and red on the driver's side, or this left side here. So green and red on this side, and green and white on that side. So the first thing that we have to do here is I have to take off this bracket. This is the mounting bracket for the headlamps, and you can see the way this mounting bracket works. See, there's a spring in there, and there's a couple of screws here, and the idea is you can back those screws up, and it gives you an X and Y axis where you can point. See how that moves? You can directionally point the aiming for the headlamps. So we're going to take this bracket off. I'm going to gain access to the grommet that's in the top of this this little ball socket in here. and run a wire up to the front so that we can have a good seal. This ball socket on the back is accessible from the fender, and we don't want water intrusion, so I'm going to make sure that that has a good seal. So let's go ahead and take this thing off and move forward from there. All right, well that took some doing, but I got a hole in this grommet big enough to be able to get a wire through. And you can see it does not intrude or interrupt any of the existing wires. But that should give me a good waterproof seal, as much as any other rubber grommet can give. That'll get me there. I'll go ahead and reinstall this eye socket here, this headlamp bracket back into the hole, big gaping hole, and then we can get back into the wiring. All right, so this ground is a very small wire. Although I can crimp it, it probably wouldn't be reliable, and just a little bit of corrosion would really impair that connection. So what I did here is, I don't know if you can see very well, I've run a little bead of solder on it, and just crimped the insulator into this this eye connector, and I'm going to put this in this last screw hole. You can see there's 4 screws around the outside of this bracket, and I'm going to put it in this screw hole right here, and that will be grounded to the fender. So let's go ahead and put that in place. Here you can see I've done the same thing with the red wire. Put a little bead of solder in there just to make sure that that little tiny wire that's in there is going to mate up. Now, that's the only way that I know to connect a smaller gauge wire to a larger gauge wire is through a slide-in type connector. I mean, you could probably crimp them together or solder them together, but this makes it a whole lot easier for the install. So let's go ahead and get started with getting this thing installed. All right, so there you go. Nice bright light. Got some turn signal action. I had a commenter who had asked one thing about when you're running an LED turn signal. You can put regular turn signals on and go with LED lights, but you have to update your relays for the turn signal switch to the electronic version. There you go. This is LED lamp with the electronic turn signal switch. But let me answer one other question that somebody had in the comments. He wanted to know how loud the turn signal switch was, the relay. I can hear it pretty well. I don't know as compared to the standard how well they work. I wonder which one, if you can see it actually moving. There'd be something moving in there. I don't know which one it is. It's the top one. I don't know why they made them invisible or clear, unless you wanted to be able to see through, but anyway, makes plenty of noise. I can feel it vibrating. All right, so that should be answer the question. I'm going to do is rinse and repeat on the other side. That is a nice pattern too, looking at the way that it's projecting onto my workbench there. Doesn't look like it's diffused, going all over the place. I have the other one disconnected right now, so you can't see that. But I'm very happy with that. Let's see what that turn signal looks like without the headlamp on. There you go. There's no doubt that that's a blinker. All right, there you go. There's the installation of the United Pacific 7-inch crystal headlamp with a 10 amber light auxiliary light for the turn signals on a 1977 MGB. You see how I've got the hazard lights on right now. I think that's going to work out really well. I really like that I don't have a schlocked on turn signal right here in the fender. bad enough to have a running light. But there you go. I think that looks really good. If you have any questions, make sure you throw them in the comments. And also, I did another video, a supplementary video on how to aim these headlamps. So make sure you check out that video. Even if you're not putting these headlights in, it might be helpful if you know how to aim your headlights. That's all I got for you. Take it easy.